Now, here's your hosts, the League Dad, Kevin, Mitchell, and Alistair.
What's up, gamers, and welcome to another episode of the All In Podcast. I am the League Dad, and as always, joined by my buddies, my friends, my co-hosts. We've got Kevin, Mitchell, and Alistair. Thank you guys for being here, and as always, I love talking League. We didn't have any games this past week, which is crazy because we're usually recapping what's happening, but we still had a bunch of, news to talk about, topics to talk around the league. So we're going to jump into all of that. I know Twitter's been going crazy lately, so has Reddit. So a bunch of interesting things. But before that, how are you guys doing? What's up with you? What's going on in life right now?
Doing mixed. Started my new job. That's doing well.
Ooh, nice.
However, so that was on Monday, which is yesterday. However, I don't have a non-expired passport/driver license. So the little form you gotta fill when you start a new job, like I was just like thinking like, oh, this is expired, I should get it renewed, and I'm like in the process of it. But the government's not quick here in the U.S. If you're like an international watcher, like quick is like 3 to 4 weeks. So if I can't get some form of ID figure out, I might have to like pause my new job start and take a unintended vacation. So we'll see what happens next week. This saga will continue, but I'm like exhausting everything right now to try to figure out a solution because the government takes way too long to do any of this stuff.
But would your job be okay with that? Like, it's not tech,
like they're fine with it in the sense of like I'll have my job, but I might have to like briefly be terminated and then rehired because legally I can't be hired without this. It's called an I-9 form. Without this documentation, because this is how they know you're like allowed to work in the US. However, I have a work history and I've already submitted a valid birth certificate. I'm a citizen. So it's like, I'm like, how do you think I worked until now? So it's more like them just following the law,
rules are rules, Kevin. We can't break the rules, man. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. My employers are also like based in Canada, so they're very nice and probably don't want to break rules and stuff.
Hey, man.
So,
like Alistair.
I got denied from a bar.
Nice.
I got denied from a bar with an expired license. Yeah, that was because it expired on my birthday last year. And then I tried to go out to a bar like a few days after, and I got denied. I was like, "Really?
Okay."
It's been a few days, guys. Do you think I like made this up?
Yeah, it was a bummer. I don't know. Maybe like I bought it like illegally or something. I don't know. And they just try to get an old. It was really stupid,
it's a compliment. We both look young. So.
Exactly. Well, I had so one more quick story about expired licenses. We had drove for my birthday, me, a couple buddies, and my wife, like 5 or 6 hours away to West Virginia. There's one lone casino out there and nothing else. So you literally are driving through like woods and no population. All of a sudden there's a casino. We get there, we're about ready to go in, excited. Everybody's coming in, showing their IDs. My wife's ID is expired and they won't let her in. And so we drove 6 hours and there's nothing else to do around there because it's just a casino. So we went to the gas station, got like some beer and went to the hotel room and just hung out. But it was yeah, man. I guess you got to follow the rules, man. What a bummer.
Was this recently?
It was about 4 or 5 years ago. It was before COVID and stuff, but yeah.
That's crazy. You guys are like way past. Well, I actually don't know how old.
Wow, man. Chill.
I'm old.
Saying, like,
come on, Kevin. You know I'm old.
Well, no. I'm just saying, like, it should be at a glance. Yeah. It's like, it's whatever.
I don't know.
I'm not old enough to have an expired driver's license yet.
Here we are. Yeah, that's true.
Wait, you should be old enough.
No, not
yet. Got your license.
It's expiring. It's expiring in 2023.
Oh.
Okay. Also, it would depend when he got his license.
Well, I got it when I turned 16.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah.
Well, all of that to say,
5 years.
Expired. Get it renewed. Okay, Alistair, how are you doing, my friend?
Stuff renewed, y'all. Oh, my God.
I'm chilling. Honestly, been a pretty slow week. Not much has happened, to be honest.
Cool.
It's been chilling.
Nice.
That's good.
Schoolwork and
stuff.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Living life.
Yep.
Breathing air. That's cool.
That's what I'm saying. As long as nothing bad's happening, then hey, that's good, man. You're here. You're still alive, well, and playing League, so that's good. Mitchell, what about you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm chilling. I feel like something noteworthy happened, but I can't remember it. Oh, I tried playing Fortnite. It's actually a pretty fun game. Weirdly enough.
Nice.
Is this the first time?
No building mode or the regular mode?
The non-building mode. Building mode is way too hard.
Yeah.
Man. Oh my goodness.
I
cannot
do that,
build.
dude.
I can't do it. But I just tried the normal build because some friends were playing it. And it was like surprisingly similar to League, and like you have like a laning phase where you kind of build up and gather up some stuff to get stronger, and then you start fighting a lot.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be actually. So I don't know. I guess it's just another game that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty neat, and it is a pretty big game. But the thing was always for me, the hard part was the building. I hated that. Like just as a game without the building. Yeah, I like the concept, and I do agree. Like it's pretty fun, building up, trying to find strategic places to go, and then finally shooting it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of cool, fun concepts there.
They have really cool gimmicks too that they change every time. Like right now, you can turn to a metal blob and you just bounce around like a ball.
Yeah.
It's like so stupid, but it's really funny.
All right.
Fun, yeah.
I feel like League could do more stuff like that. Like remember when you could turn into a Gromp? That was just a great time in League.
No, dude, it would break the game. It would actually break the game when the event's over. They're like, you just randomly turn into a Gromp at a pro match. And like,
yeah, that'd be so funny.
That would be amazing. All right. Well, glad to hear everybody's doing good. I have my, so I know I had Golden Girls hat last time. Now I have a Baby Yoda hat on.
Baby Yoda.
So maybe that'll be my thing. Just rock a different hat every time. I don't know. Anyways, let's talk about some drama because, League is never short of drama. Yet another CEO in hot water. We're talking about Carlos from G2. And if you're anywhere around the League scene, I'm sure you've seen him on Twitter. I'm sure you've seen him on Reddit. The whole thing unfolding. But essentially, does anybody want to kind of TLDR what happened here for anybody who may not have heard it?
I can cover it on a very basic level. Essentially, Carlos was seen. It might have been he posted his own social media post. He was in a picture with I believe he actually he was streaming somebody, a man named Andrew Tate. Mm-hmm. He's fairly notorious for multiple things, but I think the simplified version would be that he has pretty hot / controversial takes on a lot of things, namely some of them including like how women should be treated, and that generally is not condoned, especially publicly, right? So I wouldn't condone it, and I think Carlos saying he kind of doubled down after people called him out on it. He said that I choose, nobody will ever be able to police my friendships. I draw my line here. I party with whoever the fuck I want, is what he said soon after.
That's a good one. That's nice.
And the beautiful part about that tweet, not the tweet itself, is the fact that he apologized about 15-16 hours later.
Yeah.
Said something along the lines of like, oh, many G2 fans were let down this weekend by what I said, and I wanted to make it clear that I'm always standing for absolute equality of opportunity, regardless of where you're from. That's what gaming is about. And like he kind of apologized, but he left that like nobody will be able to police my friendships tweet like pinned, as that apology was still like underneath. There's some other little details, don't need to get into it. It's just a lot of drama. Carlos, anyone who's been in the scene long knows that Carlos is a divisive figure. When he was a pro player, he was very he's very out there. He's very funny in some ways, but also very controversial. He would say some very weird things. And he's been doing that from time to time. Like the perks is my son's favorite uncle thing. When he said he would never screw over perks. So that's the synopsis. I'll drop the ball over to one of y'all. You guys can take it from here.
Yeah, reactions. What do you guys think?
So, I mean, honestly, I really have no idea who Andrew Tate is. Honestly, I thought his name was Adrian, so that shows about how much I know about him. I just know that he is not popular, and he was like deported from the UK or something like that, and had a bunch of charges put against him somewhere for like sex trafficking or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about him. I just know that he is not popular, and Carlos is I'm gonna coin a new term. He's reggieing his career right now.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, he's like an accused sex trafficker. I don't think he's actually been arrested or convicted of anything. It's pretty bad. He was a kickboxer / internet personality, according to Google. So it's a pretty bad look for G2. I think. I mean, it's a pretty bad look for any person. Carlos's ex-wife, who's also like the mother of their kid, came out with a thing saying that he's never been misogynistic like around her, or she sees him as a good person. But it's like it feels all very PR, right? It's just we don't really know what to say or trust. All we do know to say or trust is that CEOs are not normal people. Usually, they're kind of a little cuckoo in the head. They're kind of power hungry, little like oligarchy, like mad genius type of sitting in the chair, twirling their mustache, sort of character. And like Reggie was definitely like bad, but in a comical sense, and that he would fire you and tell you you're stupid and stuff. Like that's pretty bad, but it's like, you know, this is bad. This is like you're hanging out with an actual criminal. I think it's kind of on a different level. And the entire Twitter and the entire Reddit all pretty much lashed out against Carlos and G2. G2 ended up suspending Carlos for like 8 weeks as their CEO, with no money being gained and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, Carlos seems like he has like there's this thing about like liked tweets and stuff. It doesn't seem like Carlos cares that much, really. I don't think he's ever cared about public opinion. He knows that he's above the law in a sense, like not above like actual law, but above like league law, where if as long as G2 wins, he'll always come back and he'll always be able to stay in the scene, right? Riot did just recently deny or is rumored to deny their Valorant franchising, but I don't think he's ever going to get removed from like LEC franchising unless he does something really stupid and actually illegal. So it's kind of it feels bad to just watch Carlos be smug about it and not give a shit and then just keep carrying on with life, being a rich CEO.
I mean, he doesn't. 8 weeks pay is nothing when you're worth, according to Google, $105 million. 8 weeks pay, that's nothing, bro.
It doesn't matter. So, yeah. It's just, I wish he was a better person. I guess that's what we can say. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it extra sucks because like there are players that you just really want to support on G2, right? There's Caps, there's Ankles, there's Broken Blade. Like there's just people that you really respect that have been basically synonymous with the org's name. And you would like, for example, if G2 does come over and do really well, I would like to get a jersey. I mean, like they've been around long enough where I'm like, it's just part of history. But at the same time, you always have to remember, like, just like buying a TSM jersey, you're like, and then what's the CEO going to come out and do next?
Yeah.
What am I going to be like associated with if I wear this in public? Like you don't want to feel like that, but like there is a certain level where if he did actually come out and say something really bad, as a fan, you're just directly associated with it. Like people will judge that at like an event or something, and it's not fun for either parties. I do think that it is reassuring that most of the community, like usually on Twitter or Reddit, it's like there's like if you sort by controversial, you'll see some like you'll see some takes that might gain some steam. But this time I think it was pretty straightforward. I think for the most part it was fairly unanimous in terms of the like, dude, this is okay. Like, why are you hanging out with this person? Like, some things are alleged, but he has publicly said like women should be tools or whatever, should be owned by men. Like, it's not great. I have to actually look at the quotes because I don't want to misquote the guy, but this is just like there's very little positive things out there that I can see. I don't really want to delve too much into it though, because any news is probably just stuff that it will just give him more notoriety.
Yeah. It's not pretty. It's not pretty for the league scene. We're getting to a place where it's just we don't want to go there. We don't want to go anywhere close.
So this is what I want to pose the question to you guys, because to me, like, yes, obviously, it's not a good look. He shouldn't be hanging out with them or whatever. But I guess this sets a big precedent, right, moving forward, because essentially he's getting punished for hanging out with somebody who a majority of people don't like, right? If you put it in that basic terms of what it is, he's guilty by association, because he personally, as we know, according to his ex-wife or whoever, himself is not like that. He's a little out there, can be controversial, but there's nothing to show that he has the same views that this Andrew Tate guy has, or according to Alistair, Adrian Tate has. So here's what I'm saying. And Kevin, you kind of mentioned it too. You were like, oh, look, if G2, for G2 fans, Like, now with what the CEO does, and because of all the drama and heat they're taking, like now rocking my G2 jersey, do I get also guilty by that association? And like my I guess question is this, like, where do you draw the line? Like, and is that enough of a precedent? Because again, he's guilty by association, but he technically hasn't done anything wrong. Reggie, I would go on to say that he directly did things that were directly like bad for his company. Yeah, like, as far as him abusing players verbally, bad towards people. So, and again, like, I'm on the side of Twitter, most of what Twitter's saying. Like, I don't like that he's doing that. I hate the fact that he also said, you can't police who I hang out with, all this stuff. Like, I hate that attitude. But from a precedence point of view, like, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with that? Like, if Riot takes him out of franchising, like, that's crazy, because that's huge. Like, if they could do Valorant, they could do League. So I don't know. Let me get your thoughts on that.
Wait, I'm gonna take this first, because I do think that one of the big signs that really makes me tick off, and I think can subconsciously tick a lot of people off, is everybody is making posts. Every single personality is saying misogyny is bad, this guy's bad, what he did is bad, what he says is bad, right? He's not saying any of that. He's not actually going out and saying misogyny is bad. He's saying, I let some people down, right? Don't police my friends, yada, 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 right? He didn't go out and just defame the message that this guy is like known for. And I think that's like a big problem. Like, he's not being, a good person. Like, it's it'd be so easy for him, if he truly believed it, to disenfranchise this guy, right? It's like, you are a bit of who you hang out with. I think that's can be apparent in life, right? Just like in League, you are a bit of who your teammates are, and your coach are, and your staff are, and your team are. So you are a bit of the people you hang out with, and if you intentionally want to post a picture of it with him, you're partially proud of it. I think, with the kind of social media following he has. So it's just all those things that line up together at the same time. I'm not saying he should get kicked out of franchising. He didn't do anything illegal or wrong or against the rules, as far as I know. But in terms of liking the human being that is Carlos, then yeah, it's like way, way down.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But in terms of G2 and the company and League, which now I guess I'll talk about now, is, yeah, I mean, doesn't have much to do with it. I wouldn't want to be associated with Riot, but it's like, if he's already franchised, you can't really do much. He didn't break any rules. If he did break rules, then kick him out. But
yeah,
as far as I know, hanging out with somebody is not enough grounds to kick you out. So whatever on that.
Yeah. Like, I also agree. Like, you can't choose who, like, I don't think as a precedent, even if it's like a controversial person, unless these are like convicted, like these are
like as a war criminal or something.
Yeah. If it's something that, well, okay, I still think that there are certain lines. It's still not, he's not the one saying these things, so it's not as bad. I will definitely agree with that. I will say that if you don't publicly condemn, at least like, I'm just not against this or that, just like make it clear, right? You're not saying that you agree with the things that this person's done for them, then it's not that hard to do, right? Ideally, I would like that to be sincere, but at the very least, do that, right? If your ex-wife is the one who's coming out saying he's not a misogynist, like, I'm like, why hasn't he said that? He did say he stands for equality in all fields, and to their credit, they started an all-female team recently, like a couple weeks before that, right?
Rough timing, man.
Not great.
Not great. I would be a little concerned if I was an employee, but he could do better, right? So I think, like, for example, if we were in a podcast and Alistar wasn't here and we had Harvey Weinstein here, like, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm not Harvey Weinstein, Mitchell isn't, Leak Dad isn't, so we're fine. Like, why would you say we're the ones making bad decisions? We're not him, right? I'm not saying that, but I also don't condemn anything, or put like distance that, or say I don't stand for that. Then people are going to judge that. And while we can't tell you who your friend should be, we can definitely decide how we judge you based on your
That's
friends.
right.
That is our freedom. I will say there's no reason they should kick out not no reason, but there's not nearly enough reason to kick out G2 from LEC. What they can do is if they remove him from or G2 from like the high priority list for franchising for Valorant, like I don't think that's enough to remove him. But I think if they look at like because G2 is just such an iconic organization. It's stable. It's one of the most successful esports orgs in Europe, if not just the world. That's probably not enough to get him out, but that is definitely a strike, right? And if enough drama happens and they're like, this is too much of a PR risk for Riot to stomach, they could just be like, you don't get into the first round of franchising. You might have to buy yourself in later on when you're on good behavior, right? And that, we mentioned this before about TSM franchising into Valorant. This stuff costs a lot. This can be a lot of valuation and just brand value.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I don't think there's any like major punishment that needs to happen. I think their G2 did a small like PR punishment that's honestly irrelevant, but it's just kind of like you can't really. On one hand, it's not like he's hanging out with someone that's just generally disliked. He's hanging out with someone who actually like spreads things that are genuinely harmful to people, and has apparently caused a lot of issues with a lot of people, and that's very different than hanging out with like Tarzan, right? Like most people just don't like Tarzan, but you're not gonna get canceled because you hang out with Tarzan at a party or something like that, right? Like this guy is like a legitimate problem apparently, and I do think like it would be okay if my opinion is just like, as the CEO or like a public figure that Carlos is just a really stupid thing for him to do, to just post it on social media. It like I feel like it would be okay. Obviously, it wouldn't be like it wouldn't be the same, but he could hang out with him, just like do it in private.
Yeah.
Like just keep it to yourself.
He posted it himself, man. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
He just wanted to out himself for fun.
Like, people don't want to see this guy, and like that's understandable with like what he's associated with. But putting him in a public place, like parading around that you hang out with this guy, just isn't the move.
Yeah, I think it was all downhill when social media came out, because now like everything about a player and or a personality or a CEO, like they cannot help but post stuff like online. Like whereas back in the day when there wasn't any of this, you didn't know all the stuff that they were. You're just like, oh, he's running a successful org. That's probably all we know about him, and maybe the few things you see in interviews.
You didn't hear anything.
I mean, same thing with Reggie, right? He just tweets like with like, why? Somebody take the phone away. Somebody take his Twitter account away. But yeah, so I mean, just a lot of craziness. Again, more CEO drama, unfortunately, in the esport scene. But let's move a little bit to the world's, news, because a couple things happened. One is Lil Nas X taking over. I think this is kind of cool for me because, obviously a very popular figure. I don't know much about him, but I do know that he's big and popular, and like any attention that can be brought onto our sport, then I'm all for it. I'm excited. I saw the little video. I loved it. I heard a little teaser on the video of the song. Sounds pretty good to me. But what do you guys think about this? Like, I think Riot, we can all agree that their production value has gone up, especially with the LCS 10-year anniversary and all that good jazz. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I think we're off to a good foot, and I'm excited to see what's going on. But what do you guys think?
I thought the video was good. I thought it was like, they usually try to like, be cool for the kids or whatever, and they miss the mark. And oftentimes, a lot of companies do it, not just Riot. Riot actually probably hits the mark more than the average. But I think they probably let Lil Nas X like just do his thing. They probably let him do a lot of the decision making for this video. Like it felt like you could feel a lot of personality and sass. Like the Nudier like meme was hilarious. I'm not gonna get into it too much, but I think it was fairly funny. If they ever did make that skin, which they wouldn't, but if they did, that would probably sell really well.
Heck yeah!
And then get banned somewhere.
Wait, no, is that they're so making the skin? There's no way they're not gonna make the skin.
I mean, if they do, they're gonna make a ton of money, right? They gotta make it now, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they might. My theory is they were going to make it, and then the video, like the meme power, got so strong, like okay, it's going to be made. So one way or another, it got
just give him a lead
into
existence. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's either gonna be made for Worlds and stuff, we're gonna get it, or we're gonna like not get it and then get it on April Fools or something. Like, there's no way we're not getting it.
No, you know what? Lil Nas X, his costume for when he does the presentation of World's Finals is gonna be a Nudier cosplay.
That'd be
that would be
awesome.
good too.
Goodness,
That would be
Please.
that's
good.
our
Just
Super Bowl
pixelated.
Janet Jackson moment for people who grew up in the 2000s.
Yeah. I would be down. I would be so down.
I would be so down too.
Yeah, I saw
so I think it was what did you say?
I was just gonna say with the Nudier thing, I forget who tweeted it, but they said, I think they were like, Nudier, since when is Lilia getting a new skin?
Oh,
Nudier.
Nudier, yeah.
I don't know. Dad joke, I guess. So I
Literally
laughed.
getting a new skin. That was
Yeah.
that was I think it was
can't
right in
remember.
August. I saw that.
Yeah,
tweet.
yeah. Anyways,
So I'm excited for the new song. We kept on hearing like the little clips of it, and I thought it sounded good. Like I don't listen to a lot of his work, but it just sounded good. And
yeah.
most importantly, I think this is the right artist for the age group they're trying to target. They're trying to target like some younger audiences and try to get them into our game, and at least either into esports as the first step, because this is an esports promo, but ideally into the game, because we really need people. I think League has actually a pretty good retention rate of like just long-term players, but the new people trickle like went up with Arcane, and then like they're trying to find their next like how do we appeal to people, right? And this is a good move. Whether it will do anything, I have no idea. Like this is very hard to track those numbers, but hopefully we'll see the ramifications if it is successful.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely think it's interesting, and I definitely am looking forward to the song, mainly because a lot of the recent songs, you've kind of just been able to throw them in the, like, if you take the music video and then you put that with a different song, it just fits like cookie cutter. So it's definitely going to be unique. And I kind of spent a lot of time trying to figure out who was actually, or like, you know, who was going to be like who was gonna be the artist to make the world song, because usually they get someone from the region. So like for KDA, when it was in Korea, they had like some K-pop stars, or that kind of thing. And honestly, for the life of me, I was gonna predict they do something with Snoop Dogg, just because it's Snoop Dogg. He has his hand in literally everything.
Yeah, he does.
That was my prediction. Though I definitely think this is going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing more as it comes out for sure.
Yeah, it should be cool. Yeah, Lil Nas X is pretty dope. He's he's got some good music. He got really big off of like one album, which is crazy. He's kind of a one album wonder guy. He's pretty new. So I'm excited for it. He's also openly gay, which is cool. League has been going in a very gay friendly, just LGB, all those letters friendly.
Yeah.
So I think that's neat. Yeah, I hope it's good. Honestly, the video reminded me, it was just The Office. It really was just an episode of The Office. A lot of people are doing that these days, so it's cool. I mean, it was, to be honest, it was a little cringy for me at the beginning, but it warmed up on me. I was like, oh, they're going hard with The Office. They're going really hard. But every scene with Lil Nas X was actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then the other lady, she was all right. She wasn't the worst. It was fine. It was a good video. I hope the actual song slaps, because they kind of teased it, and I thought it was fine, but it felt very like poppy, catchy. So we'll see what the actual song is like. I hope it's like more like his stuff, you know, because I think his music's actually pretty good. Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited though, because this, you know, we're getting the Zoomers in, right? This is the time. We need all the Zoomers to play League.
Need
all
more like
the JoJo Pyuns.
Yeah, the more JoJo Pyuns.
More JoJos, more general snipers. You know, we need all these guys to come in and save NA, because you know, our boomers aren't doing it. Our boomer teams are not making it to Worlds, so we need new life.
We really do though, because yeah, you're right. Like the amount of young talent, like, because you can't technically say like a Blaze Olive is still young talent anymore. Like he's been in the league for a while now. You know what I mean? Or even Palafox. So we need new JoJo Pyuns, and so if this, you know, this is a step in the right direction, let's keep doing it. All right, let's not spend too much time on this, but it is Worlds related. But for Valorant, they did change their Worlds format to have double elim, and I know that's something that we as League of Legends fans have been craving for so long now. Do you think, just real quickly, because we obviously all want it, but why do you think Riot continues to not do it? or find excuses for not to do it? Like, do you really believe there's not enough scheduling or enough time? Because it just seems like it's doable in other games, except for ours, when we've been asking for it for so long. And do you think we'll eventually get it?
So I watch Valorant a lot. I watched Season 1 Champs, which was, as far as I remember, I believe it was also single elim. And I watched this tournament for the most part. I think let's get into it real quick. Like, what's really great about their format is like you can just see some really cool hero runs to the lower bracket. You can see when you just have a bad best of 5 or a bad matchup. Like, honestly, just some teams will beat other teams, just like IG lost to, or IG beat KT in 2018. KT would have beat like probably almost every other team in that tournament and got into the finals if there was a lower bracket, right? And we'll never see that world. So having more games is better. Having more like one more chance, so that it's not just based on flukes to get to the final, is better. And why have they not implemented it? Part of the reason is, in my mind, is they needed to try it out themselves. Like, Riot, in my mind, always has to invent the solution, even if the solution's out there. So they have to be like, we invented this double elimination format. We tried it with VCT Champions, which is our biggest tournament in Valorant at the end of the year, basically our Worlds. We know everyone liked it. The viewership was all right. It was decent. So then we can put it in Worlds. I don't think until they did that, they were like super comfortable. All that being said, though, we've had double elim in all of our regional leagues. So what is going on with our Worlds League? I'm gonna cut it there. I'll just start yelling at Riot at this rate. If
He's about to go off.
Oh God.
So I mean, I do think part of it, and this is some recent information I got from the Valorant team at my school, where Valorant is a lot more competitive between regions. Like, Brazil has really good teams, for example. Like, a lot of the like in League would be considered minor regions have like world's contenders, rather than League just being Korea, China are their own league, and then it's NAEU, and then it's like everyone else, right? So I think it does make a bit more sense for that, because there is just more opportunity for upsets, and there honestly is just a lot more teams that people are interested in watching. That being said, I don't necessarily think that's as good of an excuse. Looking back, like the whole argument or like conversation we had at the end of last episode, right? But I do think that is part of it. But I would predict within probably for the next Worlds or the Worlds after that, there probably will be a change, just because it's been changing everywhere else, whether it's Valorant, whether it's regional tournaments, whether it's MSI. So it will start to change.
Please, for the love of God.
Riot just tends to be slow with stuff like this, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been complaining a lot more this year than many other years, I think. Really came to a head during MSI when people were complaining about just wanting double elim at MSI. So yeah, I think it's going to change soon. I honestly think one of the reasons why we don't do it is it's been working for a while, and it's way cheaper, because once you get to the bracket stage and you're out of groups, you only have to buy the stadium for a weekend, where usually with double elims, we're not going to have much breaks in between. It's just going to be tournament after tournament almost every day, with maybe a few days break instead of like a whole 5 days, like a whole week break. So that is a big deal. So it's probably going to be a lot more expensive for Riot to put on, like, significantly. So yeah, that's my guess. I mean,
that's gotta be it.
Like with the regional ones, right? They all got a lot longer. When you add double elim, all of our tournaments at our regions got way longer, and we're playing on like Tuesdays or Thursdays and Fridays and stuff like this too. So, but you're at your home stadium. You got to rent out a whole studio in a different country or a different city that's not Riot based, right? So, yeah, that's my guess. So,
yeah,
people complain. There's money in it. They'll do it, I guess. Yeah.
Money. That's the thing. Like, money is always the biggest motivator, right? Because even so, they could probably do it. It would cost more, but it might not necessarily transition into like more money.
Yeah, it wouldn't make them more money. Yeah. Just having more days, having an extra couple ticket sales, you'll see like a lot of lower bracket teams without fans just not get as many ticket sales.
That's true.
And then Riot will just be at a loss for those days. But in terms of competitive integrity, though, it's like obviously worth it. But we'll see. Riot Games esports as a whole is a loss. Like, nobody makes money off of this stuff. None of the league teams, none of Riot, they don't actually make money directly from esports. They make it through a lot of indirect stuff. Riot through skins and stuff, and then the teams through like
the State Farm
sponsorship
analyst
deals.
desk.
Sure, stuff like that. Like it's mostly sponsorship deals and brand deals, right? Like Team Liquid, they don't make all their money from their championship winnings or selling jerseys. Like far from it, in fact. They're making it off of a brand and like getting sponsorship deals. So yeah, it's kind of hard to sell if like you're getting the same sponsorship deals, but then you want to add in another like 10 more games of stage days. So
yeah.
I mean, it also depends on like what is the goal, right? What's the goal of Worlds? If the goal of Worlds is just to show, like, just to have like the top 4 Korean teams, the top 4 Chinese teams, and then just one European, one NA team randomly get in every year, then yeah, okay, sure, we can keep it cheap. But like, if your goal is actually show world talent, like, you can have third seeds go straight to the lower bracket. They don't need to play 2 best of 5s. They just play 1 best of 5. They start in the lower bracket because they couldn't get top 2 right in their group, and you just go from there. And yeah, it will take more games, but just like there will be some teams without that many fans. Like I would argue, Hanwha Life Esports versus Gen G or whatever was last year's Korea versus Korea. No one watched because it was boring as sin. There was a 4th seed Korean team that got 3-0'd, or maybe it was versus Danwon. They just got smacked, and it was awful, right? But if a Brazilian team wouldn't make it there, but let's say a Brazilian or NA team goes in there and they at least have their 1 best of 5 chance, more people, unique people would watch that would tune in for that match, especially if a Brazilian, Japanese, whatever big region of esports fans comes to watch it. I would say there are a lot more people who would watch that wouldn't have watched if they were just like, oh, it's Korea versus Korea again, China versus China again in quarterfinals. Ooh, we could have a nightmare scenario. We've never had it, but we could have just 4-4 come in.
No, I think with double elim though, you would run into those scenarios more often. They would just be less decisive. You would run into a lot more civil wars in Korea versus Korea and China versus China in random like people falling from upper bracket to lower bracket. They would just be less meaningful because you had more games overall. But I think that honestly, that would happen more with double elim. So
you're right, it would happen more, but it'd be less disappointing. Like this wouldn't just be
it wouldn't be as
one
decisive.
Out of 7 best of 5s the whole Worlds was just Hanwha Life versus whoever. Like,
but then
I would much rather just be a throwaway game then.
Yeah, but the argument is that then those days are still the same. They're still wasted in terms of like Riot making money off of those days. So like when we're talking about like goals, what's the goal of World? The goal of World for us is to show the best world talent. The goal for Worlds for Riot is to make more skin money. Yeah. So it's like those are never gonna align really. Like there are gonna be some people who are gonna be pushing for we want more competitive integrity in Riot, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be how much more money are we making? Because that's just how company works, man.
That's what I think. I think if they can figure out a way to make money, then they might think about doing it. So here's my prediction: they're gonna get rid of the minor regions and then just have the major
4
regions.
4 seeds from every team.
4 seeds, and then just have double elim, because that'll be enough, I think, fan base for people to actually go watch in these stadiums, and make money.
I mean, in my opinion, if they really want to make money, and this is just from like an objective standpoint, they should just charge more for the ticket sales, and they don't have to charge like a crazy amount more. But like League Dad, how much do you pay for your ticket to Worlds?
It was like 100 something. No, my Sunday one, I got good seats.
I'm gonna attack the argument right there. The ticket sales are such a small percentage of the amount of money they make for each game day.
I completely agree. But but what I'm saying is like I think individually for my school we paid $35 per person or $45. We were prepared to pay like $80 a person, even though that's like not a crazy percentage. That's still like if they made it from 45 to 75, that's still almost double what they are charging right now, and that is still going to help. Whether it's a major amount, it's still something.
I think you run into another issue though, where people you get a chunk of people who only bought it because it was $40. So it's like it evens out in terms of economics. So I'm just saying that's really not a.
But if the World Championship's only coming to North America every few years, and on top of that, it's not even necessarily coming next time it comes back. It might not go to Mexico City. People are just going to go for the fear of missing out. Like people are just going to go because like, oh, this is hype, I want to go now, and so they'll be willing to put that. That's at least my point, and that's kind of the boat I was in personally.
But like easy economics, okay? 10,000 seats. Let's just say we have 10,000 seats. $45 ticket, 450K ticket revenue. Okay, let's double that. Let's make it $100 for half. Then we make $1 million. That's barely one Team Liquid player's salary. It is so inconsequential for you to raise the prices on this that it's better. I agree. If they want to nickel and dime and optimize, they could raise the ticket prices, but it's getting nowhere. Like our biggest stadium in the US is like 100,000 seats, right? Let's say we could fill 100,000 esports fans in there. That's still $10 million, which is a lot of money, right? But it's not nearly to the level of the production that they're making. And for some reason, to be fair, for some reason, the Mexico City thing's like in like a 200-person theater or something, like the 100-person theater. Like it's a terrible location. Mexico City is one of the biggest cities in the world, and they chose a tiny ass venue. So I don't know what Riot Games is doing. This is like the first Mexico event in a long time, right? It's all play-ins, and they would definitely get people to come watch, even if the Mexican team's not playing directly, right?
Wait,
So
they must have really not put much budget for their play-in stage.
Yeah,
that's disappointing.
I'm not saying that like it's going to be the be-all end-all. It's going to fix everything. I'm just saying it's a start and it's at least something.
Yeah,
because like there is no.
I don't think anyone's. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and again, specifics are meaningless at this point because we're just saying like Riot needs to somehow, some way make money if we're ever even gonna have a chance of seeing double Elim Worlds.
Make more Lux skins. I don't know.
My argument is stop doing the world tour. Like, or is in terms of like stop just trying to go to all these different venues and shift all this equipment, all these teams, all these bookings, and like choose it somewhere close to the studio that does the production. Like
get rid of MSI.
I don't know about get rid of MSI, but maybe like make it more important.
Just make it more important.
Just, like, no one really cares about MSI anymore. Like the only thing MSI is good for is the argument that maybe we can get a Grand Slam.
Yeah, I think making MSI more important, and also I like the idea of moving less and like finding a middle ground. Like you can move for play-ins in group stage maybe, but for moving for each, I mean double Elim would have to solve that, right? Because you can't move for each double Elim match. So I do think that could be a nice solution. Like as soon as you finish group stage, you just move to your final spot and you do all of your brackets. That would be an actual substantial like change in cost, because now you're not moving freaking thousands of people.
And fans could plan a trip. They could plan a week or 2 weeks to be like just go to the event, and they can just be like, okay, for this week it's LCS or LCS, it's Worlds Week, right? I get to go to all these lower brackets. I don't know who's going to be there, but I get a bunch of guaranteed matches, and Riot gets a bunch of guaranteed income.
All right, I got it. We're telling Little Nas X this right here, okay? Raise the ticket prices and keep the bracket stage double Elim in one location. We just made you like what, 50 million? All right, we get a cut. What do we think is fair? What, 1%? We'll take 1% of 50
sounds
million.
Good.
That
he doesn't need the money. He's good.
Yeah, it's
no, you don't need it, Little Nas X.
Yeah.
Just help a guy out. Help us out. We love your song, so
there you
know.
Go. Hey, so I know I said at the beginning of this we wouldn't spend too much time on it, but hey, here we are. It's Worlds, man. Worlds format, something that has been near and dear to our hearts for a while. But let's round out this podcast right back home with LCS news and LCS happening. So it's official. Hans Sama is gone. And I think we briefly may have mentioned it. None of us are actually sure if we mentioned this or not last podcast. So tell us in the comments if we did. But Travis did say that Core and Bjerg will not probably be playing on the same team next year. So kind of the debate is, who do you take? Who do you keep?
Yeah,
who do you
because they don't get along. Like
they don't get along. Right, exactly.
Game the same way.
Yes.
That's his.
That's the caveat. Yeah.
It's a hot take. It's just purely a prediction.
Yeah.
He heard that they don't get along, so he's predicting that they're not going to play with each other next year.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's start there. Again, we kind of had a feeling Hans Sama was going. We already saw that he was being offered by K Corp. So don't really need too much time on that. But yeah, this whole Core versus Bjerg thing. In your opinion, what would you do if you were Steve here in this situation?
There's no way you get rid of Core JJ. Bjergsen, thanks for coming. You're gone. I don't think there's any real argument here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cut and dry.
As a Liquid fan, Core is our franchise player. He's the most valuable, pretty much the most valuable native talent in my mind in terms of just raw talent to compete at Worlds. However, because of the contract situation, it would probably make the most sense to get rid of Core because Core's becoming a free agent. Like it was talking about budget, and unfortunately, like Core's like Bjergsen's still signed. Like they would have to like probably pay some like breaking the contract early fees or whatever. Someone has to buy out Bjergsen, right? And teams probably aren't that excited to spend super big bucks after Bjergsen's year being pretty good on paper. I thought he played well, but not like a superstar. He wasn't like number one by far, right? Not even close. So in that world, I hope we can keep Core JJ, but like business wise, the messaging sounds like Core is going to be removed.
Oof.
Yeah. It does seem like with the way the wind is blowing that C9 has an autofield support and Core JJ became a free agent. I mean, C9 Core JJ is a real thing. I don't think it's going to happen. Like, that's not the first thing that'll happen.
That'd be crazy.
I think a couple dominoes would have to fall first before that would go down. As in, one of them would have to be Steve and Core JJ can't get together, right? Bjergsen and Steve and Core JJ can't get together. And Sven would want to leave / C9 would want to take that. But that would be a crazy world. I think that C9 fans would be very excited for that. Yeah, otherwise, there is no argument for me either. I think Core JJ had probably the worst year he's had since he was in ADC, and I still don't care. I would still take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like literally like Enchanter metas literally never stay meta because Riot always nerfs the crap out of it because it's boring to watch. So you're gonna get engaged meta next year probably, and you want Core JJ again. All of a sudden, he's gonna be the #1 support. I think that it's gonna cost a crap ton of money, maybe. So Jad actually said on his podcast that there are usually incentives built into most contracts. So the $7 million roster might have only gotten half of that or less because they didn't go to Worlds, and they didn't win anything right in spring either. So who knows where the money is? I do think that Steve, if he's smart, should move heaven and earth to do whatever it takes to keep Core JJ. Because not only is he one of the best players in the league and one of the best players on Team Liquid, sending him to another team is just saying that you're not going to win a championship for the next 2 years unless you get some actually crazy roster. Like if you can get like I was joking it last time, but if you can get like, I don't know, like Chovy and Lehens because Genji blows up next year or something, then yeah, maybe you get rid of Core JJ. I don't know. But like barring like actual like Korean and Chinese superstars wanting to come to TL, just keep Core JJ, man. Please, for the love of God. Otherwise, put him in C9. I'm a C9 fan.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I think all of us are on the sentiment that, yeah, we would all take Core. Even I would, by the way, because you guys know that I'm a big Bjergsen fan, but I'm officially off of that train. Not because I don't like Bjergsen as a person. I think he's been great, but I do think he's not the winning ticket anymore. You know, for so long in TSM, they were like, hey, it's him and 4 wards, but we also speculated that maybe the problem wasn't the team, but maybe it was him. And him playing now in another team where you would think playing with other smart veterans such as Core, like I would have thought that would have been the perfect combination. And now we're hearing these rumblings again. You know, it kind of reaffirms the rumors or hearsay that maybe Bjerg is the problem, right? Maybe his way of approaching the game is he insists on it and it just doesn't seem to be working. I would go on to say that in my mind, where I'm starting to just theorize, maybe the disagreement between Core and Bjerg, maybe it was the Enchanters. Maybe it was like, hey, we need to play this kind of meta because Enchanters are just broken. And maybe Core's like, F Enchanters, y'all don't know how I roll with the engaged supports, right? And then they're like, no. And so they're back and forth. And then Core had to play Enchanters and then they boomed. That's the biggest form of speculation, but I'm going with it. That's what's going on in my head right now. But I wouldn't want, so going back to, we all want Core, but is it even feasible? Because we talked about free agents and, you know, with Yon and, is it Yon and Isla? How do you pronounce it? Yon. But if they get promoted. Was it bad? Was it pretty bad?
It's perfect.
Okay, thanks.
But yeah, we might know soon.
We might know soon. Like, welcome, Yon and Isla. But if they, you know, they're good, and if it seems attractive to promote them, especially since they said the direction is not so much hiring veterans, but bringing on young talent. Well, here's young talent. So again, my sentiment is I want Core to stay, but is it actually feasible or even the right business decision for Team Liquid?
I mean, I think the best thing for Liquid to do, possibly, and just may. I don't know, obviously, how all the contract stuff works. I don't know the money situation, but I think there's a very real possibility where instead of Bjergsen going to a different team, they just keep Core JJ and they bring Bjergsen on as a streamer instead of a player. Because I'm still on the train that Bjergsen's just going to retire again. I still believe that just from past experiences. We see it in multiple sports. We see it all the time. Veteran who's very dominant. They retire. They miss it. They come back. They don't do as well as they used to because the sport caught up to them, and then they just retire again. I think that's exactly where Bjergsen's going to go. I don't think he's going to be a coach because he didn't enjoy it just because of the experience he had with it on, I think it was TSM. Yes. I think they're just going to make him into a streamer. He'll make insane money off of that. Liquid can take a cut of it. I'm assuming that's how that works. But that would be my prediction. Because I think getting rid of Core JJ is just the biggest mistake. It's like it would be up there with getting rid of xMithi to me.
I don't think Bjergsen's ever going to be a streamer. He's actually said many times he doesn't like streaming or personality facing industry at all. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, there goes that theory then.
Sorry.
Whoops. I think it's a good theory if we didn't know Bjergsen's personality. Like that would
fair enough.
Even not knowing the streaming stuff, even if I didn't know that, I think Bjergsen is still good. He still was top 3. Like, guys, in my mind, he had quite a high level of reliability. Like, you never saw him do the Abadoggy, right? You never saw him, like, really just screw the pooch over and over, like, consecutively in lane. Like, everyone has, like, a bad game in a series of a best of 5, but he never did, like, a long streak of that. I think he is valuable, but if you don't have core, you cede your ability to compete at the highest level, in my mind, because he has intangibles. Like, he made Tactical look like the number 1 player, like the next Doublelift. In the right meta, right? But like, that's insane to me. Now that we look at Tactical and his regression, I guess it would be. I think Core is just too valuable.
To fake God.
He's ascending.
Awesome. Doublelift was Team Liquid. Doublelift left. Core JJ is Team Liquid. Just same way Bjergsen was TSM. I don't see a world where getting rid of Core JJ actually gets them more money. I just think it will hurt them a lot more in the long run.
It's not gonna get them more.
For modern Liquid's branding sake, like what do you associate Liquid with if you don't keep Core, right? Santorin's the next most tenured player, and I do think Santorin has some value in that sense, but Core is truly like a superstar player. He can speak English now, and he isn't an import anymore. Like, there's so many valuable things. If you hand him over to another org, they're gonna create a super bot lane, and then everyone's gonna call Team Liquid stupid, and they're just it's just gonna be like Neo TSM, right? Because unfortunately, as a Liquid fan, like, I know this, Liquid was built on the backs of being a winning org. That is not enough to get like long-term super loyal fans, right? You need to have those players that represent you and those values that represent you, right? And if you don't have the winning part, please at least keep the player part. I don't think it will happen, but I really hope they do it.
Team Liquid really needs to opt harder into the fact that they're a horse. I don't know. They need more horse memes or like horse.
I missed the mascot.
Horse mascot, something like, just throw Steve out there in a horse costume. I don't know, like,
absolutely.
I feel like they need more to their brand. They have a horse
Steve
logo
out there on a real horse and pay for by Steve.
Have him hold up an HTC phone and be like, ring ring, I'm on a horse. I don't know, do something, because right now their brand is Disney money, right? They partnered with Marvel for a bit. That was cool. And then I don't know. Now they're just chilling. They win in other esports, which I guess is still part of their winning brand. But I would be down if more like teams went into niches, right? FlyQuest and EG, they really had to, and 100 Thieves, right? They really had to dig in to the new scene and sell themselves on like a new niche or whatever. Like, we got a little shtick gimmick. So I think it's cooler like that. It's more funny.
Random tangent. Just heard from some insiders who know people who worked at EG. Apparently, EG is the org in NALCS or LCS, where it's kind of like your stepping stone org. Like, you go there to work there as like support staff or whatever, so you can get to one of the top orgs. Now, that might have changed this year because they finally started winning, but that's just something I learned recently from some insider knowledge. So that
cool.
I can't
That's
say
nice.
who told me.
I'm gonna
but
get a job
it was
at
very
EG,
interesting.
guys.
Yeah,
I'm applying.
stepping stone. Let's all get jobs there.
Yeah, no, seriously, I'm down.
All right,
be
well
so
let's go on to last bit of LCS news is that PoE is exploring options.
Wait. Sorry, I didn't say anything about Hansama going.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say something. Yes, I'm glad he's going because he played poorly here, but I fully expect him to go to EU and look like a god again. And it's gonna be
Agreed.
another testament to.
Wow.
It's totally just the environment of NA. Something about here, and I don't know. Obviously, moving is tough too. I think his girlfriend lived in EU, and obviously he lived there his whole life. His friends there, his whole career is there. So it's tough here. Mental state and how you feel, I think, means so much more. And the fact that he signed so quickly before Worlds has even started means he was basically out the door before the Nexus fell. Like he was signing it, like he was signing to go back to EU when he was like AFK in the bush recalling. Like that, it was all the way back then. And I do feel bad that he wasn't able to be comfortable here. But Bwipo has said the exact opposite thing. He said he is very comfortable here and he likes it a lot. So who knows? Maybe
Yeah,
Bwipo
different
does not.
players, different mentalities. You know, some people thrive on it. Some people don't really. I mean, same with Bjerg. Bjerg has been here. He's pretty much an NA resident for real. Like, because he's lived like ever since he was a young teen here. So definitely, I think you're right about mentality and being in different environments, how that affects players.
And then Bjerg, I do think that he's actually going to play next year. I don't think he's going to retire. I think that that would be really lame if he did, if he chose to do that. Maybe he will, but I don't think so. I think he's going to keep playing next year. And I do think he's actually, I don't know if he's going to win anything or go to Worlds at all, but I do think he will look a lot better next year. There's no way he's the type of player or person to take this year and do the exact same thing next year and not improve or change something because he just came out of retirement. I do think that it is tough when it feels like the level of the league got harder while you were gone, and then you come back and it's something that you've never actually like played into. So I think it would be cool for him to come back because we need that, honestly, right? Double if left, we need Bjergsen to come back and start winning and be really good at the game because otherwise it's very, very disappointing for the legacy of League of Legends. One of the reasons why LCK is so great is because Faker is always there, still kicking, still doing good stuff, either winning or being second place or something near that. So I think Bjerg needs to come back.
I'm worried about him being the next Huni, where he just kind of like fades into inting every game.
Hey, it took a couple years for Huni, okay? It's only been
know,
one.
But
we can, if he has another bad year next year.
I mean, he didn't even have a bad year. I think it's just like I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I've been saying for a while. I think Bjergsen is the problem in a lot of the teams. I've been saying for a couple of years now.
Yeah, we've kind of all been we've been saying it since like freaking like 2015 or something. Like it's always been that rhetoric just hitting around.
Like, I mean, my question is like, where does he go? 100 Thieves isn't gonna take, or 100 Thieves may, but I would be surprised. CLG probably can't afford him. Actually, definitely can't afford him. FlyQuest definitely won't take him. EG won't take him. Cloud9 won't take him.
As 100 Thieves, FlyQuest, blah blah blah, and a lot of teams, any team that's I think not EG or C9 would take him because he's got like over 1 million Twitter followers, guys. Like this guy is just branding for free.
FlyQuest, CLG, those teams can't afford Bjergsen.
Yeah,
hey,
only a handful by MSG. What do you mean they can't afford?
Maybe I don't know.
Just don't want to
Who
spend
knows what the money is?
Yeah, well,
I feel like
they
people
won't
bend over
They
backwards.
don't want to fork up that amount of money, is what I mean to say.
It's not hard to convince sponsors when you have 1 million followers, like Mitchell said.
I think they would bend over backwards for Bjergsen. I don't think they would bend over backwards for a lot of people, but when it comes to Bjergsen and Doublelift, I think almost any team in the league would bend over backwards to take those two, just on branding alone, and the hopes that they could just be like god level, like they have been in the past. Like honestly, if Doublelift ever wanted to come back, I promise you, if he ever opens up and talks to his agent, everybody's down for Doublelift. They have a number for him that they're willing to give him.
And they got an emergency. They got an emergency fund called the Doublelift fund.
They have a check behind like a glass door to break if Doublelift.
break if Doublelift. Doublelift just sent me a text. Did I break it? Do I break it? No, don't break it yet. He's just saying hi.
Dude, Liquid did that. They got rid of Jensen, who won 2 championships with them, had an amazing, pretty high level world showing the year before. They did the same thing to their star player, right? One of their star players. So people will bend over backwards for Bjergsen. I think Bjergsen will come back stronger. I don't think he wants his legacy to end off on a 4th place finish while playing with one of the other best players of all time in the region in his role. Like, I think Bjergsen has been an issue, but he has still won like 6, 7 champion, like some crazy number of championships, only behind double, right? Bjergsen's not the type, in my mind, I don't think he's the type to give up that easily. I saying all that after they retired after going 06 at Worlds.
It's true. We really don't know, man. We really don't know.
Like I said, I'm just going off of past experiences of seeing stuff like this, and while I'd prefer to watch him keep playing for the same reason, I still want to see Faker keep playing, just because of the legacy. I'm just you look at the subtle things, right? Like when they did the top 10 list, Bjergsen's tweeting out Doublelift's my number one, like all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, it seems kind of funny on the surface. But at the same time, like I kind of read into it a bit. It's like he kind of seems like demoralized type thing, like it. And that's maybe just me reading into it a bit too much. But like I said, we see so many people retire, come back, not do as well as they'd hoped, and then just retire right again.
All right.
Yeah, that could happen. That could happen.
We got to,
and it's all up to Bjergsen.
We got to make some kind of punishment here for if he retires or if he doesn't retire.
I'm down. I'll buy another team random ass.
Yeah,
I'll buy a TSM shirt if I have to. I don't think he's retiring this year.
I don't think there's any way he's retiring. Not this year.
Maybe.
TSM shirts anymore?
Hey, I'm just saying. I don't know. Okay, people do weird stuff all the freaking time. Okay, people do super weird stuff. So
like hang out with somebody that's super disliked and taking photos and tweeting it.
More on
exactly.
topic.
People do not make the logical choice ever. Right. And then, okay, I just want to say though, if there was ever a time for Doublelift to come back and cement himself as the greatest in NA, now is the time. If Doublelift were to come back this year and proceed to crap stomp on all of NA LCS, he would literally be considered the best of all time in NA. Like, imagine that, right? Bjergsen comes out of retirement, kind of shits the bed. There's a new age, right? C9 finally wins the summer with Doublelift gone, right? Doublelift's like, hey, we're not supposed to let C9 win summer. All right, I'm back. And he actually destroys everybody. It would be one of the coolest NA stories ever. And I think we would really need that.
You mean he would go back to Team Liquid with him and Core and Bjergsen? Oh,
okay. That would be funny as hell. That would be funny.
Yeah, this is the Team Liquid budget roster. Okay.
Yeah. No, I would want to see Doublelift versus Bjergsen, and then because I've always been on the Doublelift side, and then Doublelift just like completely destroy Bjergsen, and then just be like, I was number one the entire time. See. And then retire again after winning everything, going 0-6 at Worlds again. Just retire again.
It would
be a legend.
Years. I think Double could come back, but I don't think he would come back on the team with Bjerg anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he could come back. If we're being realistic, he would suck.
That's what I'm thinking.
Guys, his last split was not great. Okay.
No, it wasn't.
I'm trying to forget it still, but that was a painful split.
Yeah, anyway, so it wouldn't be great, but if he would come back and he would be the best, it would be awesome. It would be the greatest anime arc ever to hit.
It would
LCS,
be.
So
it would be pretty cool.
Let's hope for that one.
Man, I am hoping for that. I like that. I like that idea. Yeah. You just got me hyped for something that probably won't happen. So thanks a lot.
Every off season's wild. I can't wait.
Yeah. Okay. Well, can we talk about PoE now? Do y'all want to talk about PoE? Is he? I know
he was overshadowed. His topic was overshadowed.
I know. By Bjergsen.
Oh,
God. Okay.
I tried to bring him up, and I was like,
"You're like, forget it." Yeah. No. Bjergsen. But okay, so poor guy. We respect PoE, man. He might be listening right now, and he thinks we're disrespecting him. Okay.
True.
So here we go. PoE.
I did the video yet.
I know. Yeah. So here it is. PoE. Is he still going to be able to find a team because he's exploring? He said NA or EU. He has NA residency, but would anybody want him, or is it time for my man to retire?
I think that honestly, I don't think he will retire because as long as someone wants him, he'll keep playing, is the impression I've gotten from him. He didn't feel like he was burned out. I don't listen to a lot of PoE interviews though, like, to be real with you. But like, he has the highs to be up there with Jensen, Bjergsen, like at his best. There's a lot of upside, and now he's a native, so like, or at least he doesn't count as an import. I think if that really early spring split rumor about imports or minor regions not becoming imports is a thing anymore, we're going to see some really major team shakeups. We're probably going to see NA players fall through the gaps, and they might just construct some weird rosters where it's just like Turkish player plus PoE plus whatever. I think he'll stay in the league. I don't think he's that bad. I don't think he's the worst mid laner in the league. I just think that he's been on bad teams. And when you're on a bad team, it's very easy to look terrible. I don't think he's been great. I don't think he's 10th place, though. Which means you stay in the league, right? That just means you stay.
I think he's going to try and stay in the league. Whether people take him is the question, just because mid lane is a very frequently like imported role. And again, I guess there's a chance that like, maybe he's not going to command as much because, you know, he was Immortals took him, right? So like Immortals is like it's a fairly budget roster as far as I know. So it's not like a Bjergsen where he's constrained to like only a few teams that are likely going to win and will fork up a pretty penny for him. So I think, you know, maybe Golden Guardians, maybe probably not FlyQuest, but like, you know, maybe Dig, maybe Golden Guardians would take him. But I wouldn't guarantee that he have a spot. But I'm not like fully sure.
Yeah, I think I mean I kind of like him as a player. He's a legacy player, right? He's always had some great times. He was on one of my favorite rosters, of course, the FlyQuest 2020 roster. That back-to-back finals, 2 worlds. We took a game off Top Esports, but that was a long time ago. That was 2 years ago, and Power Evil has actually just looked bad or mediocre since then.
Well,
it's kind of crazy.
Last IMT, so
last year he was on TSM,
right, TSM.
And they actually made it first in the regular season. This was when spring and summer were combined, and they did make first in the regular season, and then he proceeded to just look like garbage in playoffs. This was the time when everyone was playing Lee Sin mid and stuff. He just kept playing Orianna and Syndra. So, you know, I think his time has passed. I do think that we are past the age. Froggen is long gone, guys. Froggen is super far gone. These like mid laners that are pigeonholed into mage only do not really exist anymore, right? Like Larson was another one, and Humanoid was another one back in EU. They've had to branch out and do other stuff, and now they're successful on this other stuff. Bjergsen is clearly struggling on stuff that's also not mages. Like, I feel like we're just past the time where you can have players that are only good at certain classes, and now everybody's just good enough at everything that he's just really not worth it. So I think for the health of the league, PoE should go. If you had to choose between PoE or a promising NA talent, or I really don't care about minor region players or teams. There's still a lot of talent to be found in NA. I really don't care about imports on bottom tier teams either. There's still a lot of talent to be found in NA. So we don't need PoE to get better as a region. And I don't think that it sucks for him as an individual, but I want to see LCS succeed, right? So I think we should go NA talents. If you can find a spot for PoE, you can find a spot for an NA mid laner. So
I mean, I think PoE is kind of just in the spot where he wants to keep going, and well, he might not be done with Lee or LCS. LCS might be done with him, and like I said, that's kind of I'm kind of feeling that same way about Bjergsen, and that's kind of why I think he's going to retire. But I mean, Father Time's undefeated. We said this about Huni.
Yep.
Huni's a little bit.
Yeah, Hootie's a bit more extreme.
Hootie literally had a physical issue. That's the problem here.
No, I know, but like even before then, he still was not looking good.
You know, I actually had this thought. There are probably a lot more pro players with physical issues like wrist injuries and stuff, but if you ever announce it, it's near career suicide.
Yeah.
You just don't get signed. Like High was just never the same. And you also don't play the same too, I think, but yeah, I wonder how many, this is a totally random tangent. How many players are just hanging out there with wrist injuries, and their agent is advising them not to say anything publicly because you just keep playing it.
it's oftentimes the veteran players because they had really bad physical training and just like lifestyles before the past season 8 and onward is probably when things really started improving, and franchising honestly also helped a lot. Teams now have like way better regimens. They have healthier diets. Like they just used to order Uber Eats all the time and just like whatever, right? They all lived in the same gaming house and didn't really exercise that much unless you liked it yourself. Like these people are the ones who have the worst habits, and then like Koreans had even worse training regimens in terms of how strict they were and hours they were putting in, right? These people were destroying their bodies out there. Uzi is a super famous example, right? A god tier player who's like what, arms of like wrist of like a 40-year-old. So I think the veteran players like could last a
Hey,
lot longer if they had
I
a
have
better.
I'm almost 40 and I have wrists. I'm not that
Yes,
bad.
but
I'm
if
just
you were,
kidding.
if you had wrists
Yeah,
like
but
you
you
have
play
right
Yuumi.
now at the age of
Come on.
20, that's a
That's right.
problem, right?
Yeah,
It's just
Uzi
always
would
gonna
be
be a problem.
so good.
Pros
on
play
Yuumi. He'd
Yuumi,
be the best
Alistair.
Yuumi.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as much.
Uzi Yuumi.
See, Uzi plays Vayne. You play Yuumi. You're not the same here. All right?
We're
It's the
not.
same. It's the same thing. Anyways, go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
No, I don't think his time is over per se, but yes, there might just not be the desire for him, and that minor region thing might also just come to hurt him. There might just be minor region mid laners that are better, or at least more worth the risk because he's more of a known quantity.
Honestly,
they
he
could-
should join the
yeah.
French league like Reckless and Cody-san. That's the move.
Yeah, I do.
He's
That's
German
what I think.
though. He's German.
Okay, and Cody-san's not French either. Neither is Reckless.
No. That it's not a question of him being American that's the issue, or not French. It's the question of him being German. There's a, I don't know if you've
Okay,
read a
yeah,
history
okay.
book before.
No,
that's
yeah,
not-
okay. It took me.
It's a
yeah,
little
I see what you
harder.
mean. I see what
It's
you mean.
okay.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know,
Fair
it's
enough.
league, whatever. You know.
Yeah,
we're
league
just-
fans
just
don't know
playing Yuumi,
history
it's
or
fine.
geography for that matter.
True.
It's fine. Yeah. I will say, yeah, I do think, okay, especially with K Corp being moved into LEC, and that's where actually Hansama is going. Like, where's Reckless is going to go is a big question. And it does seem like it kind of worked out
Sorry.
for, like, Reckless and other people and Vizichachi and stuff, who, instead of going, oh, and Doublelift also said this on one of his podcasts / I think maybe just co-streams, where instead of being a top player going on a bottom team and just not going to Worlds, you should probably go to another region that's smaller and just be the best there and then actually make it to Worlds. I think that's what they were saying on the co-stream. That's what I've heard also, and that's what I personally think is better for your career. So if you are someone like PoE or Spica and you can't get on a top NA team, or even Bjergsen, right? You can't get on a top NA team for some reason, or you don't like your options, or like you're basically maybe you're taking a huge pay cut to just be on like a 5th place team or something like that along those lines. It's maybe better to just guarantee you go to Worlds on another team on a minor region. So a lot of EU players have already done that before. A lot of NA players have done that before. I think we might see some actual players do that, and that's crazy to me. That is wild.
Yeah.
We could see so many players just randomly in our URLs, and if they don't choose that, right? Don't they just disappear into non-existence, right? Both Sneaky and Doublelift have refused offers to come back to League because they just weren't good enough teams. And they said the reason is I would rather be not on a team than be on a bad team or a middle of the pack team. It's bad for my reputation. So yeah.
I think
Might see some people leaving.
Going back to like how nobody wanting PoE, I think that's the thing. Like we've already seen his upside potential. He's not going to get any better, right? So there's no point. And yeah, the LCS might be done with him, but I mean, I don't think that would be the case with Bjergsen. The league still wants Bjergsen. Him and PoE are on a different wavelength as far as that goes. But I hope the best for him because he has been a great player, entertaining player, especially with his builds and just some of the things that he does. And he's had some crazy storylines, some crazy comebacks on teams. He literally was the savior, right? So wishing him all the best, and hopefully he can land a team. But unfortunately, I don't think it's the best for the LCS as far as improving goes. Okay, is there any final thoughts or anything before we wrap things up? It's funny because even when there's no games to recap, we can always find things to talk about. It's always fun to digest and dissect all the things happening. But any final thoughts?
Yeah, League is very dense. There's always a lot to talk to, a lot of things to talk about. There's always storylines. One interesting storyline that I think was kind of cool was for all of our regional championships, LCK, LPL, LEC, and LCS, it was really a different summer. It was very different. I'll start with LCK. Chovy, Ruler, Lehens, and to a lesser extent Doran, they all won their first title against Faker. That has been something that has plagued all these players for many, many years throughout their entire careers, is they can never actually get across the finish line and beat Faker in the finals. So they get their LCK title. It's a great, it just took enough time. It just took years, but then they're finally able to get there. And now Gen.G is considered one of the world's favorites. Same thing happened in LPL, sort of, to a lesser extent, but JDG winning It hasn't been since 2020 since they've been relevant. Now they're back as the first seed instead of second seed at Worlds, looking to get a title of their own. That's really exciting. I think LEC, also one of the crazier storylines, is Rogue winning their first title. It really is just a crazy storyline for so many players on that team. Odoame and Larson have honestly been chasing titles for like over half a decade, like for so long, and it's always losing to G2 and Fnatic. In fact, they're only the 4th organization to ever win LEC, behind Fnatic,
Wow.
G2, and Alliance. So congrats to those long-standing players. Malrang, their jungler, who I love, obviously played the J4 with FaZe Rush. He was on the infamous 018 Jin Air team in LCK. Like, what a comeback story for that is, to literally have the worst possible record, being last place, to winning in LEC. So, and then finally, NA, LCS, Cloud9, we actually managed to win our first title in summer for Cloud9. And I think that's really crazy because they're one of the best teams. They've never missed a finals, but they've always been second to a different team, TL or EG or 100 Thieves or TSM. But finally, they are the best, and they are coming as our #1 seed for the very first time in a long time.
Yeah.
Jensen winning his first title with the org. Sven, I mean,
winning his first title in NA.
No, Sven has won another title in on Cloud9 before.
Oh,
when
right.
they did
You're
MSI.
right.
Yeah.
Summer
Yeah.
title. You're right.
But still, it's like, it's pretty crazy though that like Sven just keeps winning stuff, or getting very close to winning stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really cool storyline. We had all of our sort of underdogs, sort of our lesser knowns, overcome what is usually the first place narrative, right? Faker, G2 Caps,
Yeah.
you know, some other team that's not Cloud9 in summer. So I think it's really exciting that we got that, and we're gonna have a very different Worlds this year, with could just end up being the same in the end, but the going into it is different. So
Yeah.
that is cool. Yeah.
That's true. Could very well just end up the same. But you're right. That is very cool. Just around the globe, how it seems like the theme is out with the old, in with the new. Like even with the CEOs, out with the old CEOs and in with like the new.
It's like in with the new, but it's actually just old people who just never win that they're winning now. So it's kind
Yeah.
of weird. It's because it's a lot of people who've been here for a super long time.
That's true. You're right.
But
yeah.
they just never win.
They just
Now they are. So it's really cool. Yeah.
Interesting. I like that. Any other final thoughts? That was good. Okay, cool. Well,
Mitchell's was really good.
that was a good one,
Oh,
man.
thank
I am
you.
glad you brought
That's
that
a
up.
good last
we should do this more often, I think. So, all right, well, that is going to wrap things up. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait to watch the playing stages and just get into this thing, because it's going to be more league, and I'm ready to see it. This is like the last part of the season, of the year, so I'm just ready to get it started and see all the hype around it. But thank you again to my awesome friends and co-hosts Kevin, Mitchell, and Alistair for all their wise insights. But until next time, enjoy your climb on the Rift. Try not to be too toxic, and we'll see you all on the next episode. Peace.